content is king. I don't believe that you can produce too much content because there's all these filters and things like that. And if you put enough out there, more people will see it. Welcome to the Matt Laricy Project. This is a show about all things real estate, business, marketing, and entrepreneurship. Each show consists of myself, Matt Laricy, a member of my team, and a guest. This week, we are doing a special edition podcast. There is no season or episode since this is just solely focused on the coronavirus and the impact on the real estate market. And that's all we're going to discuss today is how the coronavirus is impacting our day-to-day business in the real estate market. We have no MLG members with us. We have no guests. We are respecting the social distancing, which is a tough word to say if you say it a few times in a row. Our office is pretty much empty. Our assistants and staff are working hard for you guys at home. Our agents are still working. Obviously, our showings are down. And at MLG, what we're doing is every listing that we've ever done has a VR, a virtual reality walkthrough. So for people who are stuck at their homes or quarantined or whatever, are able to walk through any of our listings virtually through Matterport technology. We also have a video walkthrough that we have on every single listing. So if you'd like more of a video walkthrough, we have that option available. And our agents are also doing FaceTime showings for our clients who are either long distance or respecting the fact to not leave their house. And lastly, all of our new meetings, we're actually doing virtual meetings. We're doing Google Hangout calls, we're doing Skype calls, FaceTime calls. So we're trying to help the government out in limiting our in-person meetings that are out there. And that's a big impact of what the coronavirus is having just in the real estate market is the way you're conducting business is different. And we are adapting. We're not going to let this stop us. The spring market is coming to a slowdown because of it, but it's not going to hold us down here. Everyone has really been asking us what is going on in the world of real estate, given the fact that this virus is kind of taking over the world, literally. And people want to know, has there been a dramatic shift in the market due to the coronavirus? And I would say yes. The answer is yes. And anybody that tells you different just isn't being honest with you. About a week ago, I told a lot of people I didn't think it would have that big of an impact, but that was obviously before it really kind of took over. And what I tell you today could be drastically different tomorrow, if the entire country goes on a lockdown. But for now, what we're seeing is that March is usually one of the busiest months of the year. It's one of the months where we usually put the most units and houses under contract. And I would say that's the same for everybody, every realtor out there. And when you go from a normal amount of showings to a drastically different, obviously that's going to have an impact on the market. I always tell people that I don't base how busy I am about like how busy the market is. I base how busy the market is itself, and that's how I dictate what the market is. So the fact is that last Saturday and Sunday, we had about a third of the showings that we had so far for the year. So we were seeing let's just say 60 to 65 showings on a Saturday normally so far this year was cut down to 22. That's a big difference. On Sunday, we had about 33 or so. We were averaging about 40 to 50 on average in that range. We were down to almost 15, and that literally cut down to just about 5 because we had a lot of last-minute showings cancel once they announced that the bars and stuff like that closed. So you're seeing traffic that was at its peak get slashed to, I would say, about a quarter at this point. And we're sitting here today is Tuesday, March 17th is when we're recording this, and we have almost no showings today. We have 4 showings total across 85 listings. And on a normal Tuesday, we could say we would easily have 20 to 30 showings for this time of year. So we can say that the market is having a drastic negative impact on showings, and that obviously has a lot to do with people not leaving their houses. I think somebody asked me how Chicago's market's specifically being affected. Every city is different, and real estate is very local. For us here, due to the number of cases that we have had, I think we are being affected more than a lot of cities across the country. They did do the restaurant ban and all the other bans on social gatherings, and we're down to 10 people only allowed in a space. And I think that's obviously scaring people and making people second guess their purchases. People ask me, we're seeing buyers not being able to afford the purchase with the stock market going down. That's a big one people are asking is how is buyers' purchasing power being affected with everything that's happening? For now, it has made no difference. Some buyers out there are a little uneasy that are under contract. They're most specifically asking, are we going to be able to close? Because if we go on lockdown, are we going to be able to go out there and actually close on the property that we bought? I don't think we haven't seen anybody back out of a contract because of what's happening in the market. I think everybody knows this, and it's very important for everybody to understand, is that we're going to get through this. There's been a few other countries so far that have, most specifically China, has already starting to see the lights at the end of the tunnel here. And it's going to be the same in America and in Chicago. We're going to get through all of this. And the buyers who are nervous about maybe pulling out, you don't have to be nervous, because 2 weeks from now, when this kind of settles down a little bit, and if we're all in this together and make sure that you're able to pull through, you're still going to want to buy that place. And the reality is the people who are thinking about pulling out are just going to renew a lease at a higher rate, and then you're going to be upset because now you're paying more for a place that you don't own over a knee-jerk reaction. Now, don't get me wrong. If this coronavirus goes on for the next year and we're not allowed to leave our house for a year, I think we're in a totally different situation. But for the situation we're in now, if we're all thinking the next 2 to 4 weeks this is going to change and clear up, I think buyers' purchasing power is going to remain the same, and I don't see a lot of people losing their jobs. People want to ask, if we're seeing a lot of deals fall apart or people who were going to offer not offer anymore. We are seeing, as I just said, we're not seeing any deals fall apart. We are seeing some people who were really hot on making offers that say, hey, let's put the pause button on. I think it's very price specific as well. The buyers who are above $1 million are more affected by the stock market than anything. And you factor that a lot of people's portfolios may have taken anywhere from a 5 to a 20% hit, are second guessing whether they want to get in the market. That $500 to $1 million range, so in Chicago, that would be our step-up range. I would say that we're 50-50. 50 are on pause and 50 are like, let's get going. Let's take advantage of the situation. And I would say our under $500,000 market is not as affected. I would say that a lot of people are still very confident, want to buy a place. They're a little bit more under the gun to make a decision because a lot of those people are renters who need to buy, and they are seeing that their leases are going up, and they want to dive in. They're a little bit more fearless on the buying part. Somebody asked, how are agencies making adjustments? Most agencies are doing kind of what we said earlier, talking about doing FaceTime, making sure some people are wearing gloves. We're seeing hand sanitizer. People have to use hand sanitizer before they enter a property. Open houses are becoming a little bit more limited, or people are hosting virtual open houses. Those are big ones. Somebody want to know, are travel bans affecting international sales? I will say that a lot of our international clientele, specifically people from China or long distance countries where they have a heavy family that's there, they are pretty much completely on the sidelines. They are very nervous about the uncertainty. We are asked, are agents allowed to ask clients whether they have traveled to any high-risk areas recently? I'm not sure if you're allowed to ask that. I can't answer that in a answer it and say like what I know what the legal answer is there, but I know I haven't heard anybody ask that. And then how does my outlook look for the rest of the year now versus what I talked about in January before the crisis started? So pretty much people want to know if my predictions have changed. I don't think it's going to change that much entirely. We thought we would have a really, really strong start to the year and a really poor finish. What happened is we had a really, really strong start to the year that most brokers were doing very, very well. And this kind of blindsided us and everybody out there and has made the market drastically slow down. What I think is going to happen, as long as this doesn't get any more out of control than we anticipate it'll happen in the next week or two, if this is a 2 to 3 week stint where everybody's on pause and then it blows over, I think we're still going to finish very well. We thought July and August would be very slow. I actually think now July and August will be busier than we expected due to the fact that a lot of people are pausing but going to pick back up. I think there's going to be a lot of kind of like built up demand of people who are just sitting at home and are wanting to purchase but don't want to leave their house. And I think the minute like this kind of ban gets lifted, that people are going to kind of go out in droves. They're going to be a little bit more prepared to make offers too because they've been researching. One of the reasons why I think this is that all I'm doing is on my phone, and my phone's just going off left and right with people just asking questions about properties, saying when we're able to feel more comfortable going out, we want to tour these, etc. I'm not seeing a lot of people tell me that they want to not buy at all. I'm hearing everybody say, like, I want to wait, maybe 3 weeks before I make a decision. So that's why I'm saying I think the market's still going to be very strong for the back half of the year, and maybe this month is going to feel more like an October rather than the normal March. What changes have you personally seen around the city as you go about your day? Less people. There's no traffic. We're still out driving around, and I'm almost seeing nobody. And obviously, the other thing that I see around the city that's different is there is fear with people. When you see somebody else, everybody is kind of uncomfortable because we don't know how to interact with each other without giving a handshake and then making each other feel comfortable. But the reality is we can't be fearful of each other. It's good that we're distancing ourselves from each other to make sure that this doesn't get spread. But those are the two main things that I'm seeing in our city. Somebody asked, what if a 24-hour lockdown comes to the city? So San Francisco, as of yesterday, passed a rule that nobody can leave their house for 3 weeks unless it's some sort of emergency, groceries, things like that. If that happens in Chicago, where obviously it'll have a very, very big negative effect on the market for a short term because it's going to be rare that people are going to buy sight unseen. But again, I think we're going to get through it. And I think that as long as this doesn't outbreak even worse, the market's virtually long-term going to be unaffected by it. Somebody asked me, are we shutting down our business and quarantining our agents being able to work from home? As we discussed, our staff is working from home. Our agents still have business and are out in the field, and we are taking the necessary precautions to make sure that nobody's going to be getting infected or being subjected to any of the disease. And we are very harsh here with days off. We are not making any of our agents do anything that they don't want to do. And if any of the agents have any signs of sickness, runny nose, or anything like that, they will not be anywhere near the field. Somebody asked, how will the recovery be slow or fast and a rush to sell before elections? I think the market is going to come back very, very quickly because I feel like a lot of people are going to be under the gun. And it's kind of like when you're sitting locked up in a space for a little bit, you get out, you're kind of like a kid getting let out of the cage. I think people are going to come out running. And I think right now inventory is super low in Chicago, and it's going to get lower because people are going to take their places off the market. But when the people come out swinging and wanting to buy a place, the market's going to come back very, very fast. Our buyers postponing their search. We discussed that. Some people are putting a little bit of a pause for a couple weeks. What am I telling my sellers right now? That's a good question. We're advising our sellers to stay on the market for the time being. If something drastically changes, again, who knows when you watch this? It's a day-by-day changing environment that we're in. But as the market stands right now, I think it's a good idea to keep on because there are people who want to buy, and there is literally almost nothing on the market. So you have a better opportunity to sell than to not sell. And by being on the market, it's not costing you anything. You're not doing anything. I get it. Your days on market is kind of going up a little bit. But I think long-term, people who see something on the market for 40 days in May is going to be like, oh, yeah, well, 30 of those days we're in quarantine. So I don't think it's going to work against you as much as a normal market. If my building has coronavirus and I'm selling the units, will I have to give a credit? No. There's no reason why you have to give a discount because one person got sick. I will say that if somebody in your building has a coronavirus, it's very possible that your building will go on lockdown and not allow anybody to show any units. So I think the greatest effect it's going to have on you selling your property is you're not going to be able to show it. And if you can't show it, it's going to be much more difficult to sell it. People are asking me about the mortgage rates. How is that affecting the market? I will say that, again, the under $500,000 market is doing extremely well because people want to take advantage of the mortgage rates while they can. I think we all know that it's going to be very tough for them to stay as low as they will. I'm not saying they're going to drastically rise that much, but you do have a lot of buying power with where the rates are. And I've always say, like, you don't get rich in good markets. You get rich in bad markets. This is a good opportunity to buy. When there's blood in the water, you might be able to get a better deal than you can. You're able to get October demand right now in the heart of the spring, and you're able to take advantage of those interest rates. So this is by no means a bad time to buy. Somebody asked, should we list our property now or wait? If everything is how it is right this second, I would list now. I see no problems on going on the market. Again, you might build your market time a little bit, which people will understand. I think by going on, people are going to be able to view your property online, and a lot of people are doing a lot of internet searching right now, and it's a great time to get seen. And there are still people going out and looking. I think if we go on a 24-hour lockdown and nobody can leave their house, I'd probably say it's a better idea to wait. An agent asked me if we should take on new clients. Absolutely. Absolutely, you should take on as many clients as you can, always. That's your job, is to go out and get business. Jobs like ours, we're in a service industry. The restaurants, movie theaters, people like us, we're the ones that are going to take the biggest hits when people can't leave because our job is to service you, the people, to get business. And if we can't service you, we can't get any business. So you want to get as many clients as you can. A lot of people are nervous to leave their house, so offer a video conference, offer a phone call instead. You just have to adapt to the situation you're in. You shouldn't turn away business right now. Somebody asked me, what's my expectation for inventories for the second half of 2020? I think we're going to see a lot of inventory hit the market. One of the biggest predictions I had the front part of the year is that we would see more inventory than 19. I'm definitely going to be very wrong on that because inventory is way down right now and it's going to remain down. But I do think there's going to be that built-up demand for all the people who waited, that once this virus passes, you're going to see a lot of inventory hit the market. And I think it's going to sit on a little bit longer than we would have anticipated. As a new agent, kind of like your story in 2008, how does one succeed in this real estate environment? Well, I got in the business in 2006 and I lived through 08. I remember 08, nobody was buying. Literally, nobody had any money and the market crashed. And then the stock market crashed thereafter. We're not in a position where the economy itself, even if we go into recession, which is very likely that happens, people are still going to buy. And the recession that we're looking at is not a 3-4 year stint. We're probably looking at a few months of low, maybe 6 months, could be the rest of the year. But if you're a new agent, this is where you see opportunity. This is where you can learn as much as you can about the business and try to succeed from there. Too many agents got in the business when the market was really hot and actually didn't learn anything about real estate. They just had a great network. You have the opportunity now to learn about the business so that when the market does turn and pivots, you're going to be the one first in to be able to strike, and you're going to be the smartest guy in the room in real estate, and people always want to work with an expert. Somebody asked, how to show occupied units if your owners or tenants are freaking out? It's respect. It's saying that, like, we're going to watch them. So in Chicago, we're there for all showings. We make sure that there's hand sanitizer in place, nobody's touching anything, and that people are obviously removing their shoes. If they don't touch anything and they're walking around the place, they're virtually not doing anything to your property. There's nothing to freak out about. I would probably say now's not the best time to just throw your place on a lockbox and let people roam free because you don't know what they are going to touch. But if you trust your agent enough, it would be fine to have somebody come through your place. People are asking me, should we wear masks and gloves with our clients? That's a comfort level. If that's what makes you comfortable, go ahead and do it. We have seen some people in the field doing this. An agent asked me, millionaires are made in the down markets. How can an agent or investor grow their business now while everyone is freaking out and shutting down operations? Or is it still too early? You're not seeing major effects. Obviously, we're in the beginning stage of this, so it's too hard to say. This isn't like an easy prediction for anybody to make about how bad is this going to get. Is this the beginning and there's going to be riots in the streets, or is this going to be the beginning? We're going to have this blow over 2 weeks from now and everybody's going to be okay. So what I can tell you is that if everything doesn't get into a complete panic place, you make money in bad markets. Now's the time to strike. If you're looking for a property and want to try to get a decent deal in March, this is the best time to do it. If you're an agent and you want to try to grow your business, this is a great time to get in front of a lot of people. People are sitting in front of their computers. This is a great way to show them you're the expert. There's so many different options here to try to either succeed, make money, or inform. This is as good as it gets. Most investors want to get a deal. So if you're an investor out there and you say, well, I want to make money in real estate. Well, you don't make money in good markets, as I've said. You make money in bad markets. And a lot of people are scared, so you could take advantage of that. Now, that's it for the questions that we've had. Just to tell everybody out there, I personally wouldn't freak out about the market. This is something that we're going to get through. If you're a buyer out there, this is a good time to get looking at your properties and get going on your search. Look online. Have your agent do a FaceTime for you. Try to get as much specs as you can. Get all your research done. So many people look at 5, 6, 7, 8 different neighborhoods. Get all your neighborhoods narrowed down now. You have a computer in front of you. You have a lot of time. If you're a seller, make sure your property is ready to go in case somebody comes in and you're taking the necessary precautions so people can be able to come into your property. But this isn't a panic. This isn't a 2008. Properties and values aren't going to go into a free fall spiral. Everything's going to be okay. We're going to make it through it. There's nothing to be completely panic-stricken about. The market is going to be soft maybe for the next month. Spring's going to start a little bit later than normal, but we're all going to be okay. If you guys ever have any questions on what's happening in the market, as this is an ever-changing market and the environment is changing daily, heck, it's changing hourly, we're here to answer any questions. Our handle will be at the bottom. Call me anytime. That's it, guys. Make sure to subscribe to our next episode. Leave us a comment on this one. Comment on what questions you have or what fears you have that we can help alleviate. We're going to here to answer everything. Thanks for listening to the Matt Laricy Project. Make sure to subscribe to our podcast, follow us on Instagram, and like us on Facebook.